It ain't the gold keeps you on the highway in the cold. It ain't the gold keeps your wheels a-turning when you're old.
His name is lyrical to generations of sports fans. His accomplishments are legendary and everlasting, even in a field where the records are made to be broken, where numbers can lose significance over time. But it is in the memories of those he has touched, and in the very character of the man, that Gordie Howe, in the lyrics of an adoring song already 30 years old, remains the greatest of them all. He is the most common of men, yet somehow he seems bigger than life. He has been the most boyish of athletes, yet likely the most respected, even feared man in the history of his sport. He was humorous, he was dangerous. He was pure grace at center ice and all muscle in the corners. It has been said that a yardstick of greatness is the inimitability of the individual. In simpler terms, there ain't nobody like him. And man and athlete, there never has been anyone quite like Gordie Howe. Comparisons made to Gordie usually soar off into fiction, even fable. Talk about him with fellow Howe admirers, and after the name Babe Ruth has been introduced into the record, the legend of Paul Bunyan usually seems to follow. People in Detroit, like Jimmy Hoffa, referred to him by the one-word name that so described his presence on the ice: power. Not Gordie, not number 9, just power. A first-time visitor to Montreal's Forum in the 1960s was astonished to hear a Canadiens fan refer admiringly to Gordie Howe throughout the run of a game as Big Jesus. Yet for all the legends of Howe lore, even that one near blasphemy, he has always been, and remains, just Gordie. In the hearts of the fans and friends who have loved him over the years, be it in Detroit, Houston, Hartford, or wherever hockey is played in the world, that one word is more than sufficient. What that simple name evokes is the common touch of this most uncommon man. The stories abound and grow over the years. Everyone who has encountered him on the ice or on the streets seems to have a Gordie story. Opponents, teammates, autograph seekers, even those who encounter him as a neighbor, a citizen, a grandfather, all seem to come away with a special memory that invariably grows and warms with passing time. Certainly his on-ice legacy is monumental. Where do you begin? He may indeed have been the greatest of them all at his game. There is talent in hockey today that is awesome, surpassing and surely record-breaking, magic names like Gretzky and Lemieux, carrying the game towards the next century. But Gordie Howe, his image stands alone. Those who have known and loved the game of hockey over its evolution of the past 6 decades are reluctant to put their money on anybody but number 9.
Once we were dreamers on the rise. We were the sun, where the sun never shines, and we were gold, where the night bird only flies. Oh, that's a long time, you know, for that kind of wind to blow. A long time ago, we were dreamers on the rise.
Consider that Gordie actually played for 5 decades, from early Truman to the beginnings of Reagan. 5 decades, the 40s to the 80s. It would be like Gordie to playfully point out that, well, he just slid into that last one by finally retiring in 1980. But name any athlete in any major sport who covered 5 decades, who indeed dominated his sport for 5 decades, who survived to play the game he lived and loved with 2 of his sons, who statistically had his best season at the age of 40 and second best at 48, who played in every game in his 32nd and final season, who at Houston was the only club president ever to compete on the ice. Name anyone in sports history who played so competitively and so well till the age of 52. And with Gordie Howe, those amazing facts and his overwhelming records still pale in comparison to the memories he has left and the man that he is. In Detroit, he was everything. The day he donned a Tiger uniform and drove baseballs into the upper deck of Briggs Stadium, is just a small part of the Howe legend. That he could have been a pro golfer, a bowler, and heavyweight champ if he wanted to, are commonly accepted as facts to this day. Yet a memory that endures too is the story of a massive snowfall in the city one winter, when in one suburban neighborhood, the guy who went up and down the streets helping to push stuck motorists out of the high snowdrifts was the greatest hockey player in the world. He was normally the last man to make his way through that admiring mob that always gathered in the hot vestibule outside the Red Wings dressing room at Olympia Stadium, night after freezing winter night, because he would stop for any fan or friend who waited to encounter the great Gordie. How many autographs can he have signed over the years? 10,000, 100,000, a million? Who could count? And how many kind words went with them? Isn't it just like Gordie Howe to have recently said to an apologetic autograph seeker who hopes he doesn't mind the request, "Gee, that's okay. I would have minded if you hadn't asked." A great athlete can play great hockey. A great man can put those around him at ease and make everyone his equal. If we're to talk about 1,071 goals, 2,421 games, almost 2,600 points, 21 All-Star selections, the stunning fights he won, the 4 Stanley Cups he shared with his teammates, handfuls of MVP and scoring titles, we are to examine only an isolated part of the legend of Gordie Howe. If he had never taken the ice of the National Hockey League, he would still have been the man, the father, the friend to the world that he is.
Oh, I'm still running, running on the highway line, and I'm still running wild one, using the model and brand new line, and I'm still running. And it's easier somehow, knowing the things that I know now, and I'm still running, running like I always did, but still with the heart of a kid.
Because to fully appreciate Gordie is to see the full picture. It was hockey that made him, and yes, it too was Gordie Howe who in very special ways made the game. The memories are indelible. Just the grace of his skating, that singular glide of his, and the effortless acceleration to speed. For a big man, it seemed incongruous, because here was, after all, the toughest man in the sport, a figure with almost a mountain man reputation for toughness and get-even temperament. Yet in recalling that style of Gordie Howe, in reconciling his almost contradictory poetry and power, you come to realize that hockey is, after all, a brutal ballet. And Gordie was its preeminent practitioner of graceful mayhem. If Yankee Stadium was the house Ruth built, Olympia was the red barn that Gordie consecrated. Olympia became hallowed in Detroit because that was where Gordie Howe lived and worked. Seeing him there in person for the first time, be it in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, was a thrill that went beyond expectations. Like few things in life today, indeed in any era, Gordie Howe in person was even better than expected. Call it aura, charisma. He had it when he played his game. It was in his face, his movements, that style. He exuded calm and quiet strength. He was style and substance, promise and delivery, again, grace and power. There were so many magic nights there when a game, a season, even local pride seemed on the line. He was the center of attention of 15,000 manic fans, and just the sight of that big red and white number 9 coming wearily over the boards to face the enemy one more time with seconds to go in a crucial game was a rush and a high and a memory you can never forget. Gordie Howe delivered, and if he couldn't always provide the optimum final results, he was merely human after all. There was never a question that he hadn't totally exhausted himself and his fabulous talent in the effort. Was he ever booed, even once at Olympia? Name another athlete, no matter how great, no matter what sport, who could claim that manner of total reverence from his home fans.
And will seemingly have no new worlds to conquer. Already regarded by many as the greatest hockey player of all time, he also has to rank as perhaps the most remarkable athlete ever known in the realm of sport.
Gordie Howe is the greatest of them all. The greatest of them all, yes, the greatest of them all. You can have your choice of all the rest. If you're a Howe fan, you've got the very best.
When he took the act on the road to Houston in 1973, astonishing the hockey world by reversing his retirement and realizing his life's goal by playing at the side of his two sons, he piled legend upon legend. Local wags could not help but play with the bigger-than-life story of the amazing Gordie Howe. It was a spoof of Bonanza, not with the Cartwrights, but the Howrights, and the locale was Houston and the frozen Ponderosa.
Gee, Paul, that was right smart the way you just whopped up a jabbers out of old head Narkness. Boy, you proved that you got the fastest elbows in the West. You can hang up your elbow pads for good now.
I know what you're saying, little Mark. But you know, I know that if I hang up my elbow pads, some other young upstart will come into town looking and gunning for me. And after him, there'll be another. I'll come in here to take me on, to prove who's the fastest elbow in the West. No, little Mark and Marty, I can't hang 'em up now. They told me once, and I refused to listen. But you know, I guess it's true. You live by the elbow, you die by the elbow.
Paul, you mean?
That's right, Marty. I'm going to play another season. All right, boys, let's ride out. Back to the frozen Ponderosa.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah, Marty?
This sure is a lot more fun than when you was in the front office.
Gordie Howe slipped away, goes right after. Plays it back to Roberts. Roberts another shot. Sean steers that away. Allison goes in after it. Back of the net. Howe. He scores. Gordie Howe bringing it right around the goal and sliding it in to make it 3-2 Hartford.
Well, I've seen Gordie Howe score hundreds of those. We're clear to the other side for Mark Howe. Howe coming up on the right side. Howe over the line to his father. Son to father. Back into it. They score! The crowd appreciates that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Danny, so do I. It's just a pleasure to see this big guy out there. Look at the work he does here. Here's the backhand shot, and he had something on it, too.
A tremendous tribute to one of the most amazing athletes in any sport. There's a bouncy shot.
Character, pride, greatness. These are terms that are overused and devalued today. It seems that anything produced in these publicity-mad times is, in the language of the advertising world, built with pride, packed with character, overflowing with greatness. Gordie was the real thing. Just as words have lost their ability to shock in this modern world, so too have they lost their ability to convey the noble, the subtle, the simple, the sublime. In an old-fashioned way, and in the highest sense of the term, Gordie Howe has been what greatness is all about. Simply put, man and athlete, he is a hero for our century. And for all those endearing and enduring qualities he has shown in his public and personal lives, none has been so admirable as the fierce devotion and love he has always exhibited for his family. How, he has been asked, can he explain such determination and success in his life? Oh, I come from very strong parents, he'll tersely reply. And the lessons of Ab and Catherine Howe did not go unheeded in Gordie's own parenthood. The mutual trust, admiration, and regard shared by him and his wife of 40 years, Colleen, are so obvious and so impressive. Colleen was a new woman long before it was fashionable, fighting difficult odds and an old boy network to become a successful businesswoman with Howe Enterprises. She and Gordie are partners and best friends. And the Howes have devoted their lives to their children. Famous hockey sons Mark and Marty. Mark still playing, and Marty now coaching the game. Daughter and mother of two, Kathy, an executive with Howe Enterprises. and youngest boy, Dr. Murray Howe, a leading national radiologist. Just to see Gordie around his 8 grandchildren is to immediately appreciate the Howe family. Theirs is a shared and special love that is unmistakable and, like Gordie Howe himself, so basic, yet so remarkable at the same time. In 1959, at Gordie Howe Appreciation Night at Detroit's Old Olympia, the forerunner of so many special nights yet to come, Gordie wept at the sight of his parents when they were brought onto the ice to surprise him. It was the first time they were ever present to see him play NHL hockey. And in that simple but special eloquence of his, he told the adoring, standing ovation crowd, "It's a long way from Saskatoon."
To the boards, it comes back to Howe. Howe shoots, he scores! Gordie Howe. Detroit 2, Toronto Maple Leafs 1.
Like heck to go out after 32 years and find out I run short in the middle of the winter and be in a position where I'm forced to retire, which would be, that would be the sad part. Now it's a happy part. I still think I'm damn well good enough to play.
Indeed, it has been a long and magical journey for number 9. Thousands of miles from his boyhood prairie home in Canada to cities all over North America, all over the world, onto the ice and into the spotlight of his beloved sport. Into the hockey arenas and TV screens of 3 generations of hockey fans. Into the hearts of those who have seen and been touched by this last and best of our heroes. Gordie once said in describing the realization of his life's dream by playing alongside Mark and Marty in the pro ranks that, quote, "the pain was worth it." If it was worth it to him, his entire career, indeed his life, has been a gift to millions of others. He weighed 204 pounds when he began his hockey career at age 16. When he finally quit 36 years later, he weighed 206. What Gordie Howe took out of hockey, except for those 2 pounds, can never compare to what he put into it, and what he has put into the lives of so many. Today, the legend still walks the land. The once and future greatest of them all exists in our keenest of memories, and his legacy is everlasting, guarded by our hearts. Like the living monument that he is, Gordie Howe remains what he was born to be, God's gift, a hero for our time.
And that lady happens to be, for 34 years, my wife, Colleen. Is that the funny story?
It must have been cold there in my shadow to never have sunlight on your face. You were content to let me shine, that's your way. You always walked a step wind